Have you ever wanted to go on a treasure hunt? I mean, a real treasure hunt. Well, here in Florida, we have thousands of shipwrecks off the coastline of Florida. Treasure hunting can be pretty lucrative if you try. While many shipwrecks have been discovered over the years, there was one shipwreck in particular, the Nuestra Senora de Atocha. This was found off the coast of Key West and is the most lucrative shipwreck in history. It yielded more than $400 million worth of jewels and gold bars and silver bars and jewelry and all kinds of goods, pearls, emeralds. I've researched a bit about shipwrecks. My brother used to love treasure hunting, and so I had to sit through Jacques Cousteau's, his thing, and the Sea Hunt with Lloyd Bridges. But it really kind of fascinated me too. So that's why I wanted to do a little research on the Atocha, as it's the most popular, most well-known shipwreck. So I'd like to share a little history about the Atocha. The Atocha was a heavily armed Spanish galleon that was the rear guard for a fleet of ships that had left Spain. Now, these fleets of ships would leave Spain with goods, and they would go to different countries, and they would sell their goods for gold, silver, jewels, whatever, which is why the Atocha was so heavily laden with treasure. Now, what happened was it was September of 1622, and they had met up with another fleet in Havana, Cuba, and they were going to be heading back to Spain with all the treasure that they had. So their normal route would be to meet in Havana, and then they go along the Florida coast up the Gulf Stream. So that's where they were headed. The Atocha itself, the one ship alone, was carrying 265 people. 28 of them were infantrymen because they had to protect the treasure. So after the fleet ran into the hurricane, the whole front end of the fleet were able to get ahead of the hurricane, but the last 7 or 8 ships were not able to, and they all sunk. They're scattered across the ocean floor from the Marquesas Keys to the Dry Tortugas, between 30 and 70 miles west of Key West. So fast forward to the 20th century. Mel Fisher, a treasure hunter, decided he was going to find the Atocha. Well, he started in 1969 with his salvage crew, and he formed a salvage company. And they found, by 1973, 4 years later, they found only 3 silver bars, which they could not attribute to the Atocha, and because there were so many shipwrecks that he just didn't know, but he thought he might be getting close. In 1975, he found five brass cannons that were attributed to the Atocha, so he knew he was getting really close. By 1980, he found the Santa Margarita, which was a sister ship to the Atocha, and then he knew he was really on the right track. In July 1985, Mel Fisher sent a message to his crew saying, "Put away the charts, we have found the main pile." How exciting that must have been. They had found gold bars, silver bars, jewelry, pearls, emeralds, all kinds of stuff, just an enormous amount of stuff. And in fact, here is a picture of some of the treasure. These are the gold bars, coins, a rosary. And here we have some gold slabs and some coins and gold bars and jewelry. The Atocha was the largest salvage in history, and because it was, Spain decided they wanted some of the money, or they wanted the treasure, actually. And Mel Fisher and the United States fought them. Well, what resulted was in 1987, Congress passed the Abandoned Shipwreck Act, which said that any shipwrecks found within 3 miles of the coastline of any state would be the property of that state. So that made Mel Fisher a very wealthy man, and the state of Florida probably got a pretty good cut there too. There is, down in Key West, there is actually a Mel Fisher Museum where much of the treasure, not much of the treasure, but a lot of the treasure is on display there. So if you go to Key West, you can check that out. And they have the actual gold bars and all kinds of stuff like that. It took years, because there was so much treasure, it took years to catalog, because they had to give a barcode to each piece and catalog it and all inventory and all that kind of stuff. But it was probably a pretty fun job. Shipwrecks are a fascinating subject, and the Atocha definitely one of the most fascinating. You now have some information about shipwrecks, and particularly the Atocha, the history of the Atocha. And shipwrecks can be a pretty lucrative business if you have the patience and the money to go find it. As Mel Fisher would say, today's the day. And then one day for him, it was. If you want to find out more about the history of the Atocha, you can go to atocha.com. That's ATOCHA.com. And look under Atocha History, and it'll give you the whole history of the ship. Or you can go to newworldtreasures.com and look up the history of the shipwreck Nuestra, Senora de Atocha. Thanks, and have a great day.